Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and I know you haven't seen me in a while. I haven't seen me in a while. Been running around circles so quickly, I ran right into myself one time. Damn near killed myself. That was rough. But I have had a lot going on. Lisa and I had to make an emergency trip to California to help some family members, and that was interesting because here's the rig we took. American flag on the grill. DVP tag on the back, connected to my CCW for Florida, and basically going into the den of the lions, so to speak. It was not a great trip. It was extremely hard on Lisa, and we knew that ahead of time. We talked about it. We said, you know, family is very important, but personal health is also very important. So with all the understandings of how it was going to be, we took the plunge and we drove out there. Did what we had to do. Didn't go great. Anyway, we turned around and came back. So also got a chance to go see Pete and Mrs. PTP. That was quite nice. Not a very long visit. Unfortunately, we could have hung out quite a bit longer, which would have been nice, but yeah, just it was not a pleasure trip. It wasn't scheduled. It was pretty much get up and go. You know, you always travel and you always forget something. Well, I forgot all of my camera equipment, all of my gear, everything. So I went out there with nothing, so I couldn't really do any filming except down at Pete's. We did a little quick thing on the phone with my daughter holding the phone. So as soon as I can get that loaded up, I'll put it on there as a little special treat just to show you what it was like getting to see Pete. If you notice over my shoulder, right there, that is a boat that I bought right before we found out we were going to California. And it's a 25-foot Chris Craft. And originally, that Sea Ray was going to be the boat that I was going to mess with and restore and clean out, but there's one problem with the Sea Ray, and it's a minor problem to most people, but I have a fused back. My back is not designed to bend anymore, so getting into the Sea Ray, you have to literally bend over to walk into the cabin, and I knew that just wasn't going to work well. So I found this Chris Craft, which I can stand up and I can walk in the cabin. I've got full headroom. I don't have to bend or do anything. And frankly, it's a much better boat, stronger built, and it's going to be quite the piece to look at when we get done with it. So my daughter decided she wants to help me do the restore on it. So on my other channel, DVP Builds, we will be doing videos as we're going along doing that. And I'd also planned on showing you a build of a 12-volt air conditioner and a solar water heater that I was going to do on there, but everything's kind of slowed down a little bit because of the unexpected trip to California. And we've been back now a little over a week, but it's still been pretty chaotic because, I mean, we literally found out 2 days before we were going to California that they needed us out there. So it was pack everything we knew to pack and head on out. And my daughter went out there with us to help out because of moving furniture and things like that. So she was able to get away and do that. My son works 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, so there was no pulling him away from that. But anyway, it all got handled. Basically, for the last almost week and a half now, Lisa's been in recovery from the trip. A lot of sleeping, a lot of not doing much. It's unbelievable how difficult it is when you're in a car for potentially 38 hours of driving. It's pretty hard on a person that feels good all the time. So imagine somebody who is fighting cancer trying to do the same thing. It was rough. But anyway, we're home. Everything's going to be coming back to normal. And There will be some more videos on my backup channel. I'll do some more talking to you folks on this channel, and we'll get into the chaos and the mayhem that's going on in this world. And by the way, just a little footnote, 30 years ago when I was stationed out there in Monterey, California, the place was beautiful. It was stunning. It was really a nice place. They got over it. It is not a pretty place anymore. Very sad. It's, for one, with the redirecting of the fresh water supply of California, pitching all their fresh water out to the Pacific, they have created a drought in that state that is incredible. I mean, everything is brown. Shades of tan and dead foliage. Just very sad. But we survived it. We ducked and covered when we saw any of the Gestapo running around out there, and took a lot of turns on the little roads when we'd see cops and stuff. But I felt like we were going, it was like we were in a combat zone, and I could never tell who was an enemy or who was friendly. So I just stayed away from any potential contact with somebody that could have landed me in the big house. So the interesting thing is, I checked all the laws for carrying the heat when we knew we were going, and the way they've written their laws, you're history no matter what. So in order to go into California with your CCW, which they don't recognize at all, and you can't even get one for a temporary in California, you have to have it in a lockbox. So I bought one before we left, and when I got to Arizona, I knew we were getting ready to cross over. I stopped and I put everything into the lockbox according to how it was supposed to be. But here's the little caveat. You can have it in your car driving through California. You're not allowed to stop anywhere except for gas, food, and potential lodging. So you can't go to Ma's house and stay there for a week with that thing in your car. You have to secure it in a different residence or secure it in a hotel. So the whole time I was riding around, I had this thing in the lockbox. But if we would have gotten pulled over, even though that's the law that you have to have it in a lockbox, if we would have gotten pulled over and they felt for some reason they needed to check the car, and they found said lockbox under the seat, locked to the seat leg, they would bust you for having a concealed weapon. So the way they've written their laws, your history. So the best thing to do is, if you are in a position where you have to go to California, you better have your stuff put away. Don't draw attention to yourself, and try to avoid any situations where you might cross paths with the PD out there. But anyway, like I said, it was like ducking and covering in an urban assault situation. You never knew where the enemy was going to come from. So I felt pretty strung out the whole time in California just because of that. Basically, always ready to defend. But anyway, we survived it. We're home. Everything's cool. And coming back home, we can really tell you the difference between liberal states and conservative states just based on highways. The roads in California were so bad that if you're not doing 90 miles an hour, for one thing, you're going to get driven over. People will run right up on your ass and then swoop out of the lane and swoop right back into the lane in front of you with no room. So they're psycho out there driving to begin with. And then the highways are so bad, several times you'd hit an elevation in the highway where the concrete has just basically raised up, and you'd leave the highway, launch into the air, and then come crashing back down on your suspension. So while we were in California, I had to take my truck to the dealership and just have them check all my suspension, because a couple of times we hit really, really hard. And I will say, Jeep Gladiator, you done something right. That thing's pretty damn solid, and didn't even knock my alignment out. So I'm thoroughly impressed with the Jeep Gladiator, and I'll probably do a review on that at some point. I don't know which channel I'll put it on, but a lot of people want to know how the Gladiator's doing, the ones that have owned them or thinking about buying them. And I've had mine long enough now I can do a review and give people a lot of what they want to know about it. And so I'll be doing that. But also, it's a heat wave here in Florida. Boy, it has been unruly here as far as temperature goes. Just incredibly hot, high humidity, all of that. So it's brutal. But anyway, enough of that. So back to the liberal versus conservative, though. The going through conservative states, beautiful highways, nice and smooth, no bouncing around the cab, no getting worn out, white knuckle driving, trying to keep the thing from crashing because of potholes and cracks in the street and stuff. So there was definitely that going on. But conservative states, it just seems like they take better care of their states. So you guys in the blue states, you just keep voting for who you're voting for, and it'll never get better. Or I guess we know now that nobody's voting for anybody. So we'll just assume that the stealing will end soon, and then when they can get a conservative seat in their state, then maybe their states will improve. Infrastructure and all of the stuff that goes along with it. We can hope. But anyway, so all is well at this point. Everything's okay. The media is still trying to tell everybody we hate each other. So that's still a problem that hasn't gotten corrected yet. Unfortunately, a lot of people actually believe the media. When the media says this person hates you, everybody goes, yeah, they do, yeah. Well, they're idiots, because we don't hate each other. And if you are believing the media, when the media says everybody hates each other, then they've already won and you're already the problem. So we got to quit the hate. We got to quit assuming the hate and start getting back to caring for each other and humanity. And then they will lose. The evil cabal, they want us at odds with each other. They want us fighting each other. And as long as they maintain the control of your mind and the people thinking that everybody hates each other, they're winning. As soon as we turn that off, they can't touch us. And speaking of turning it off, I'm at the point now where I don't watch TV. It makes it a little harder to get articles, but I do look around online to find what's going on. But I mean, I don't get the liberal perspective as much, because I've literally shut it out. I just can't deal with it anymore. It's all bullshit all the time, and I'm just not gonna be susceptible to that crap. And even sports, I've never been a major sports fanatic, but I've always been fairly religious about watching the Olympics. I love the Olympics. I'm not even watching that this year. It's really devastating, because the narrative is being pushed in a foreign country to the entire world, and I'm sick of it. So I won't support it, and they can do whatever the hell they want. They have the freedom to kneel in front of the flag and do all that stupid shit, but I don't have to support them for it. So let them do their thing. I stay the hell away from it. But I would recommend just getting the hell away from TV completely, because the commercials, even if it's a show, like I used to watch Magnum PI. I love Magnum PI, and I still do. But I'm going to be buying it seasons on DVD, because the commercials, every other commercial is get your stick and, you know, for the good of humanity. And then if it's not that, it's commercials about talking about how everybody hates each other. And I'm done with that. I'm done letting that into my psyche at all. So I'd recommend shut it the hell off. Their ratings are already trash. It wouldn't take much to collapse these networks, because a network can't survive if they don't have operating capital. And when we turn away from them, that means their narrative push, their product, you know, their big pharma ads that take up all the rest of the space, all that ends, and then the networks collapse. So yeah, I said it was hot. Turn it off, get the hell away from it. Your mind will feel better, you will feel better, and I think you'll be a happier person, because even though you don't believe what is being said and you don't want to fall for their narrative, you're still getting in there a little bit. It's making your mind tweak. It's kind of making you edgy, because you know what they're doing and it pisses you off. So if you prevent that, they lose control. So anyway, I think that's good for a first video back from the trip of hell. But I will make sure to get out here and keep you up to date on what's going on. I'm gonna get back on my other video as soon as it cools off a little bit. You can't work on a fiberglass boat in this kind of heat, especially doing fiberglass itself. That stuff would be setting up, the resin would be setting up faster than you can get the fiberglass down. So as soon as it warms up a little bit, or cool, yeah, warms up, yeah, like a little bit, yeah. As soon as it cools off, I will be getting on that puppy, and we'll turn that thing into a little mini yacht. It's gonna have a yacht finish on it. It's gonna have new up-to-date windows that I'm going to be putting in it. The funny thing is, whoever put the top on it, originally that boat didn't have a top, and they put the top on backwards. I find that just hilarious. So I'll be turning the top around and getting it back on right. But other than that, folks, that's what I got. If you like what I have to say, make sure you hit the like button on the way out the door. Tell your friends about me. Subscribe to the channel. We'll get some chatting going on. As far as going live, I don't know that I'll ever be able to go live again. My signal has been suppressed so much out here where we live. Other people that are in this area also, they're saying their satellite internet doesn't work anymore. Barely have cell phone signals. I don't have any cell phone signal. So the only time I get calls is if I leave the property and go into town. And as far as getting internet, just barely. They've got us turned down so far down here. I don't know what it's about, but it's not just me. So it'll be a lot of walk around videos just to keep you guys up to date, and I'll do the best I can. But that's it. Until next time, y'all, stay in the fight.